welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm your host, Ian Carlos Crawford, and joining me is my lovely co-host, author of Surrender Your Sons,
Adam Sass.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are ya?
Good. How you doing? Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Yes, it is. Yes, it is a beautiful day out. And I am very hammed.
Love it.
So I'm white knuckling it right now. I'm very sleepy. My husband is napping. But yes, so joining us, we have three amazing guests, and I will not waste time introducing them. So first up, we have got blogger and PhD student
Ashley Smalls.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi,
Welcome
Ashley.
Hello.
Hello. And then we have Marvel alum and comic book editor,
Jay Justice.
Hi, Jay.
Hi.
And then last but not least, we have got YA author and Wiccan and Hulkling obsessive fan,
Julian Winters.
Julian Winters. Hello. Finally getting you on Slayerfest.
I know. Dream come true for me.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, two YA authors on this whole thing. Yeah. Julian and I have a recurring gag online that we are in an ongoing legal battle that some people have decided to think is real.
It is real, and I'm getting my money. I am only here to secure the bag, honey.
Secure the bag for me. Yes, I am. I like every time I'm like, yeah, I'm in a gag order right now because I've signed several NDAs. I can't discuss anything while the trial with Julian is ongoing, and people are literally DMing me with like the coffee cup emoji, being like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Would you?" I would be talking about this online. Anyway, Julian and I go way back, so I'm very, very excited to have Julian and Ashley and Jay on today to discuss the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 3. We are halfway through the season. Is that possible?
Wow.
Feels so weird.
You're getting quality over quantity with this season. So.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Well, plus we are getting these luxurious like 53-minute things. Those of us who were routinely punished for WandaVision's cut to credits after like 17 minutes are like, I don't even know what to do with myself with that 53-minute runtime.
I mean, WandaVision was like concentrated shots of caffeine, and this is like a nice like venti latte where there's lots of cream and lots of flavor and some caffeine in there.
Okay.
But they're both equally valid beverages, and I'm here for each of them.
All right.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, yeah. WandaVision was a Four Loko, so go.
Four Loko.
Before we get into it, so this was the first episode where things were spoiled for me from Twitter, because normally I feel like Twitter isn't talking that much about this show. Fun fact, that's actually how I found our guest Ashley, because Ashley has some really good Falcon and Winter Soldier tweets.
Yes.
No, my problem is I tweet the first thing that basically comes to mind, and next thing I knew, it gets a bit of a life of its own.
They're like really good. But you didn't spoil it for me. Other people did. I knew that
now,
they went to.
Why would you go on Twitter before you done watch the episode, boo boo?
Well, because this show, it felt like there wasn't a lot of chatter about it. It felt like WandaVision. It was like, you gotta watch it as soon as you wake up. This felt more like, man, no one really cares.
Yeah. And
I think I'm just a Marvel junkie who has to get it in my veins immediately, and the internet can wait until after I've done that. That's just how I am.
Yeah, well, because Julian, you and I were talking. I think you and Ian were kind of both taking a little more, not necessarily gotta wake up I gotta set that alarm and watch it Friday morning.
Yeah,
right.
And like Ian said, it hasn't been that much chatter online about it, so I could take my time with it. Versus with WandaVision, it's like I couldn't even log on to my Instagram account without a spoiler popping up or something.
I think there really is a community-based aspect to who is talking about stuff, because y'all just following the wrong people. I'm gonna put it to you like this: in the Black community, if there's a Black superhero in anything, folks are gonna talk about it. Yeah. And if you're following the right people, we were immediately on the ball with every single thing. Like, oh, did you hear that Sam got a new moisturizer? Girl, I see that you got that shea butter in there. Like, whatever we're talking about, it is happening. But in my case, because I love this franchise so much, y'all consider yourselves lucky that I'm talking about it with you, because I usually talk to my friends. I don't really be out here with my secretly hilarious opinions, because it's so intense for me. But you know what? I think this is an episode I can talk about, and it's like I'm bearing my soul on how I love these characters. I'm just saying.
I had seen tweets, but it was, I think the first two episodes, good as they were, I think we can maybe agree there weren't surprises, cliffhangers, gags.
Yeah.
It was a little more setting up and kind of feeling out the world. So it wasn't stuff that could be spoiled with a single screen grab.
I mean, it depends on what it is. Like, example, we didn't know where Sam was from. If you are a real Falcon fan and you were waiting for the MCU version, and the minute you saw Louisiana, do you know that you could hear the hollering from Nola? Like, yes! So, to me, big, rich characterization, that's a spoiler. Like, so, yeah.
Okay, that is a matter of point of view. I think that's good.
Yeah. So I will say for this episode, the Madripoor reveal was spoiled. Ayo showing up at the end and Sharon showing up, those were like immediately were all immediately spoiled for me. I actually kind of was bummed that Ayo was only at the end because I kept seeing that picture. I was like, oh cool, she's gonna be in this episode. And then I was like, oh, she's only at the end. Like I kind of was like waiting for her to be like part of the gang, like fighting their fight.
No, that's not how this is not how Dora operates.
Fair. Also fair.
We're not part of your gang.
But those were the things that I knew just from like opening Twitter. And like Madripoor, I feel like is our biggest. It doesn't matter. We'll get there. But it's like, I was excited because of X-Men, and X-Men are my faves.
Yeah. Well, frankly, I mean, we'll get there when we get there. But like, it felt very Attack of the Clones. It felt very Star Wars. It felt like somebody was going to ask me to buy some death sticks. It just was very Mos Eisley. It was a little just like one of those like, ooh, villains come here to this land.
Yeah.
It was very very cyberpunk, like just like they have which it shouldn't say flawless, but they have their own sort of code that they would abide to. But I was watching it thinking like, this is very cyberpunk, or this is what the cyberpunk game had intended to do.
I think it's really interesting. The architecture was really beautiful, and you felt like you were in Southeast Asia, but a fascinating aspect of it was that there was a very little Southeast Asian representation in terms of casting. And the hilarious part of this, if you think about it, this is really deep. The criminal element of Madripoor is colonizers and settlers coming here with their crime, and it's not the local people. So that's what they were really showing me. You saw so much diversity in terms of like, this is a European, this is a Black person. It's like, and we're really seeing what it's like here. People come here to hide from their problems in their own country. So I thought that was a really interesting way of showing like just what makes up the criminal element in this area. It is the other folks coming in and starting nonsense.
Yeah, it's like how people hide their like kind of laundered money in like a Canary Islands account, but it's for their person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but let's get into the beginning of the episode. So we get this like infomercial that's like talking about the blip. That I'm so used to watching like Hulu all the time. So I feel like that's a platform I watch the most. And I thought it was a commercial at the top of the episode. I was like, oh, it's a commercial.
Do you know what it felt like? It reminded me of Skynet. It reminded me of like, if anybody ever gone to like Universal, like the Terminator show ride they had there was like a Skynet, like it was like this very like, it was very upbeat and had all this kind of beautiful stock footage, but was like about there was like an undertone of ominousness to it. It was like, oh, we're here today. I was like, oh, we're doing the opposite of what this commercial's saying.
So we get this opening with this like Johnny Walker cap. I thought this was like a perfect scene of like showing who he is, because they've been like wavering with trying kind of wanting us to feel bad for him and like wanting us to hate him. But I loved him yelling like a child, like, don't you know who I am? With even like his voice cracking a little bit. I thought that was like a perfect showing us who he is, and the fact that like Cap, I don't know, maybe, I mean, I know I love Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, but like, I feel like that Cap maybe would have gone with like Bucky and Falcon and not like a whole SWAT team. And the fact that he's backed by this like big team and like, he is definitely, I feel like a cop, like he's like more that than like superhero guy.
That's what I want to say. Can we just call him USA Agent? Because that's who he is.
USA
Agent. And there's no way that Captain America is going to go after a little girl who stole some vaccines to give to poor people.
Right.
They would not have been able to get Steve to go on this op. Period. Like this would not have happened. Like they would have been like, okay, but why don't they have vaccines? What's happening? Like why are we not distributing things the way they should be given in the first place? Like that whole thing was a hot mess. And he has earned the title of like Kylo Ren Captain America because that was so immature and ridiculous. Like, oh my God. Do you know who I am?
I did love the man spit in his face though. I was like, oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
Even the response, he's like, do you know who I am? And she's like, I know and I don't care. And I feel like I've been saying that on Twitter now for 3 weeks straight.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm just like, I've never related so much to align. If you follow me like on Twitter, I can't stand John Walker. I can't. And I will only refer to him as John Walker. I'm not referring to him as Captain America.
USA agent.
Exactly.
Captain America.
To be honest, I've given him quite a few names that I really probably shouldn't say in public, but like, I'm not calling you that. It is, that whole scene was just, on one hand, of course, I loved it because of the line, but also it just really shows how much stock John Walker puts into that costume and that shield, like not in the actual role or position in itself. Like so much of Steve Rogers' story is about being more than that shield and being more than that costume and that mask. Yeah. And then we have John Walker where he gets the shield and thinks that everything in a way that Steve Rogers kind of earned is supposed to like be cemented in that shield. So when he carries it, like it shows that he is just as worthy of it or something. And it's like, as we see from people who in a way are fighting for their livelihoods and things like that, it's like, we don't give a damn about you in that shield. And so I really just, that whole, do you know who I am? And it's like, you're gonna have to come a little harder. I shouldn't even say harder, because clearly your idea of coming harder is something different than what we are talking about here. But you need to do something different, because what you're doing, it's not slapping the way you think. So, if you're trying to resonate with people, this ain't it. I mean, let's start with the fact that like your first mission, I'm putting air quotes around that, you had to follow Falcon. Come on, like regroup.
I want him resonate with a trash compactor. I'm so done with this dude.
If we're gonna be honest, yeah.
And then they followed Falcon, and then we're like, "Oh, you got your asses kicked," but it's like, "But you got your ass kicked
exactly.
too." Like,
y'all didn't even help.
Thank you. I'm like, at least like Falcon and Winter Soldier, they weren't prepared. They genuinely were like thinking they were about to save a hostage. You went in prepared and still got your ass beat. So what is your excuse exactly here?
If we keep it at 100. Sam would have been successful by his damn self. Bucky fucked up the whole mission.
True.
Sam was still trying to get surveillance. He would have seen that was a cooperative person in the truck if he had just been allowed to keep watching. Red Wing died for nothing. I'm still mad at Bucky for running in there half cocked with his, I got a vibranium arm. I could do the thing. Man, if you don't sit down. Oh my God.
Yeah, Ian, I don't even like you calling him like Johnny Walker, because I feel like that's a disrespect to the Scotch. So I feel like let's just, for now on, Slayerfest will only, I need you to put out a press release, we're only calling him John Walker or you.
And you know what? While we're on the subject of names, though, I don't like him calling Bucky either.
Right?
I said this before.
Sounds too friendly.
He came in acting like he knew everybody. I really didn't like that. All right, it's Sergeant Barnes to you. I did a whole vote with the other fans too. We decided it's Sergeant Barnes. So I don't know if they can go back and edit, but they have to.
Let's make our own version.
Yeah. You can tell Bucky hates it too, because Bucky is so grim and quiet the whole rest of the show. The second anybody starts asking about New Cap or anything, like the second they mention his name, he just starts. You know how like when a guy's like really quiet, but then you start touching on his topic, and like he's just like, "Oh, don't get me started about John Walker. I don't want to like." He just starts rattling off.
It reminds me of I had a friend. I had an old group of friends, and they used to have like a stupid nickname for me. And one of those friends dated this girl that like I could not stand. And so it would piss me off when she would use the nickname. It didn't piss me off any other time, but like when she used it, I'd be like, like, you're not allowed to use that word.
No, we're breaking all kinds of friend code right here. No.
Right? Yeah. So Julian, I feel like what do you think of Johnny Walker and
John Walker? That whole scene, that whole opening for me, for the first two episodes, I've been coming at this with like, okay, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. They're building something here. They're going to, give me something about this character that's going to make them late or something. And that scene just decided for me that no, there's going to be no layer to this character. There's not going to be a redeeming arc. And I hope by the end of the series that they don't try to turn him around as some guy who just gets it all of a sudden, because it just doesn't seem like that's who he is. And I just decided like he's such a throwaway character. Like his scenes they don't move the story for me at all. Yeah. That whole opening was just like, okay. I mean, yay for you. Got a little pissed off, but I'm not feeling you at all anymore. I don't feel like there's any depth to him.
He has two layers. It's a layer of rancid mayonnaise over a stale saltine.
I think like his character, if they don't go full villain with him, he's just gonna keep gumming up the world. I feel like he's gonna be one of those characters who's like, oh shit, they would have had him if he didn't butt in at the last minute, at the wrong minute.
Yeah.
The way I hope he dies to like avenge something, or like to have some kind of heroic death that absolves all of his stupidness or whatever, and we can pretend to be sad and then move on. I cannot wait.
I just hope he dies.
All of you. I will say, as a kid, I did like, but I was a fucking kid. I liked all the like darker characters, so I always thought like, ooh, cool, he's like Cap, but like wears black.
and he's gonna tell someone to shut up.
I like dark characters that are honest about it. He's so
fair.
Two-Faced. That's what I don't like. Nah, you gotta keep it real.
You could tell you could like step wrong with him real quickly. Like you could like say the wrong thing and he'd turn on you. Like he's that guy. Yeah. But
so we move on to Bucky and Falcon going to see Zemo.
Oh.
So it's very weird because I felt like the previous 2 episodes, the plot wasn't really moving that fast, but I feel like this episode, everything moved very fast. And we went from like, the end of the last episode had that like cliffhanger of like this like very epic music playing, and we're like going through the halls and seeing Zemo play, and then we're just kind of like, nope, Zemo's in the group, like he's here.
Yeah, it was a very quick like montage of him escaping so easily,
right?
And then that's it. Like, and it did feel a bit rushed just to get him as part of the whole plot.
Well, it was kind of they kind of did it how they would do like Ocean's 11 plans. Like it would be like, okay, here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to get these 2 fighting. And then it was like, oh wait, he already just did it. Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe there would have been a little more panic. I feel like, I don't know, like that.
Panic on whose part?
That we maybe would have seen like, I don't know, like I feel like this was in like in Civil War, like there would have been such a big deal made of like this guy broke out of prison. But it was
remember, he's been there for years. So I'm going to give a little real world like opinion here.
Right.
My mom was a correctional officer for the state of New York for 25 years. And whenever you get a big high profile, she talked about work a lot. When you get a big high profile murderer like this guy, the first few years you're kind of like tense. But once it starts to sink in that he may be a baron on the outside, but in here he's just another guy in permanent isolation because he can't be trusted in Gen Pop. You don't worry as much. You get lax. It is. Yeah, I'm telling you, it happens. And then before you know it, someone leaves a razor blade somewhere, and someone's dead, and the guy's gone. So I wasn't surprised at all by that. And I don't know if you guys have ever made any fan films, but like as someone who has worked on fan films before, I feel that the way they did that scene saved a lot of time narratively. So rather than show us it happening and then Sam finding out, the way they did it was actually really smart filmmaking, in my opinion, because it allowed us to see exactly how it unfurled in a way that moved the plot along while simultaneously filling Sam in. So I actually really liked the cinematography in that particular scene. I thought it was really good.
I mean, I am happy that we're kind of just getting to business.
Yeah.
I will say a thing I keep noticing this only because so many people were like, Wanda's the villain. And like Wanda didn't murder people. And I keep thinking, wow, so many people get murdered in all of their plans.
There's a body count.
Because I also thought like, oh wow, Zemo just murdered a bunch of guards. Like, that was part of Bucky's plan. It's maybe not the best. But the only reason I'm like noticing it, because I feel like they're going for more of like Captain America Winter Soldier vibes, where it's more like a superhero movie in a spy movie or like in an espionage movie. So I get that like that's going to happen, but I just keep noticing it just because people were so like wanting to like, crucify Wanda for keeping this town captive, and I'm like, ooh, but so many people are dying.
Right.
Because
I have two things about that one. Wanda, we're downplaying the psychological harm brought upon like men, women, and children in this town. So just because they didn't die doesn't mean that they're not going to be permanently scarred from this. And number two, Bucky is extremely desensitized to death. He sees everything as, this is unfortunate, but my goal is all encompassing, and I have no friends, I have no family, I have nothing but living up to the legacy that Steve left me when he abandoned me to go be, happy housewife or whatever. So I feel like Bucky's POV is, we're doing what we have to do. People die, it happens. Boo-hoo. What's the next step? Like that's right. So I'm not saying it's right, but that's his mindset. He's going to keep pushing.
Yeah, no, and like definitely I agree with you. I mean more like the fans were like, and you're right, yeah, like
no, fans are cool with a body count. Because this definitely has like kind of a 90s thriller, like maybe even a dash of Jerry Bruckheimer vibe in this thing, where it's just like, yeah, you're going to see some bodies, and that's the tone of this,
right? And I like this version of Zemo, but it does feel very different than the version we had gotten in Civil War.
Right?
Julian, what were your thoughts on that? Zemo?
This Zemo, I like this Zemo. I definitely appreciate the villain that he played in Civil War, but this time I get to see personality while he's racking up a body count, and I appreciate that. It feels like I'm getting to really know this character and know that he's not just one-sided, one mission, and that's all he's about. I mean, the guy, he's clever. He's funny as hell after he's killing people. I appreciate that so much. I just, wish that, with the first 2 episodes just taking their time through everything, this one, because I enjoyed the Zemo character so much, I enjoyed him from the comic books as well. I wanted some more. I wanted some more of his exchange with Bucky, between the cells, that very Silence of the Lambs kind of, quid pro quo. I wanted more of that. And I understand I can't get it. That's fine. We'll move along. But I'm enjoying, the character. I think he brings a different dynamic to and I love his whole third wheel between this whole, he's providing great comic relief between the tension and the humor between Sam and Bucky. So I dig it. Let him kill some more people. I'm fine with it.
He's bringing like a Loki vibe. Like he's like, oh, these two are fighting. I will very easily be able to get away.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, he's fixing it.
Right.
Yeah.
It is very Loki. It is, and I can appreciate that. I wasn't at the start of the show. Like I was like, oh, they're bringing Sharon and Zemo back. Like I felt very like, those aren't characters I cared about in the movies. But I have liked the way they've reintroduced them. We will talk about Sharon when we get there, because I don't know that she lands for me 100%, but I appreciate that. And it's very comic booky too, I think, very like comic accurate to be like, well, now this person's writing this character, so they're going to be a little bit more charming or a little bit more this.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like in the comics, it's very like these characters can float in and out of stuff and like be different in each thing that they're in. So I'm okay with like this version of Zemo. I like that he's very, and like you said, Jay, it's like, I don't know. Also, it feels like he's running circles around them. Like it feels like, even though we haven't 100% gotten there, it feels like he's still like steps ahead of Bucky and Sam.
And that's in character for him. Like, I want to talk a little bit about how people complained that this MCU Zemo is so different from Civil War that it's a retcon. I'm like, it's not, because you're comparing someone who is like completely racked with grief and single-minded about one goal, and the fact that they're like, oh, but he's a baron now, where'd this come from? I'm like, you're forgetting something. Money doesn't solve everything. Him being wealthy is not going to bring back his wife and kid. It's not going to solve all of his problems. And it wasn't relevant in Civil War because he was so focused on getting his revenge and like getting his plot together. People didn't question, how can this guy afford to go everywhere he's going and do everything he's doing? Clearly he has money from somewhere. But I think that the way they portrayed him in the show was different because he's had so much distance and time from what originally happened. And most of the people that he was trying to punish are dead now. So he's not going to be the same character.
We're also forgetting this is technically like a different world,
Yes, exactly.
This is post Blip, so it's not like really anyone's mind is still set up the way it was before everything. You don't come back from something like that and like, all right, back to that thing I was really concerned about 5-6 years ago. I mean, I could also criticize MCU's the way that they sometimes deploy their characters, especially their villains, but they do often do a job of giving us nuanced characters, and that includes the villains. And so just because he's now become someone who maybe in this past episode, we liked some of the things we did, and I saw so many like gifs of the little 2 seconds of him like fist pumping in the club and things like that. But that doesn't necessarily take away from who we know him as. If anything, he has always been someone who is tactical. And if he's coming into this situation, like he said, he knows that they're desperate. It's very easy to pick up on the tension between Sam and Bucky and figure out a way to maybe even use that to your advantage. just because, and he's already done that a bit, right? By he's pickpocketed Bucky's notebook and see that that's a really sore spot for him. Understands that as much as Sam is looking out for Bucky, there's still some mistrust there. He now also knows that Bucky can tap into Winter Soldier when he needs to, and we don't know how he'll use that when this series is over. So, like, there's still, just because we enjoyed this 40 minutes that we've gotten out of him so far does not mean that that's not going to be a switch up. It's kind of like Loki, right? We love Loki. We have scenes of Loki that's our favorite, but through and through, we still know at any given moment, Loki can go from I'm helping the Avengers to I'm about to kill every one of them just because I can. So it's like,
oh God, don't remind me that we have a Loki with none of his character development now.
Yeah,
God damn it. This is going to be painful.
But so they're in Zemo's garage. They basically use, like you said, Jay, he's a baron, so he's rich, and so they use his all of his resources as a rich baron to help them travel the world. And they even specifically say that because Sam says, oh, you're rich now? And he's like, I am a baron. I thought that was a very good, brief, catch up, yep, he's rich, he's got a plane, we just got to keep moving. And that, like you said, that does track for the comics. Because I've always thought of Baron Zemo as a little bit of a drama queen, like Dr. Doom, where he loves the flair, and he
he's got that kind of, that fur trim coat, and, and he's got that 98-year-old kind of evil Alfred working for him.
What about him gave you evil vibes?
I don't know. Well, because obviously he's been helping him throughout this entire Civil War and this, that. So
yeah, so I imagine he's Hydra.
No, he's not himself giving off evil vibes, but I'm pretty sure he's been on board with everything that Baron has been.
I kind of feel like Zemo saw Hydra as a tool as opposed to an allegiance.
Well, not even Hydra, fair. But it just he's just like, oh, you're gonna kill T'Chaka, cool. All right, you're gonna go do this, cool. Oh
yeah, no, it's still on site for Zemo for that.
Right.
Yeah. So they get in this plane. We meet the Alfred. We meet. It was so weird that at minute 13 for a show that in the previous two episodes was very slow with where it was moving. It was minute 13. We're already on a plane to Madripoor. We're moving. Shit's happening. I like that. Yeah, I like the. Adam, I put in my notes, an evil Prince Philip Butler, but healthier.
I think I had to ban you from sending me any more Prince Philip pictures because I can't emotionally handle.
Oh wow, I thought about freaking Sleeping Beauty. I forgot you meant the Crypt Keeper. I was like, what's Sleeping Beauty got to do with it?
I was like, I cannot take another Poltergeist 2 reverend.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This skull man. Right.
So Zemo makes a really good point that I was like, oh shit. He really is low key, and I really like that he's doing some good acting here. I felt like he didn't get a lot to do in Civil War other than be the evil villain. And I like that he makes a point about how they idolize heroes like Cap. And I'm not happy that he's right, but he is right? You shouldn't idolize these people. And I don't know. I like that they often have him dropping these things of oh, he's kind of right. He's between the two of them, and Jay, you have a counterpoint.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what movie you were watching, but he was not a one-dimensional evil villain to me in Civil War. Okay, he clearly had a point the entire time. He has always had a point. His point has been that power is corrupting people, and they're squishing the little people under their feet, and he wants that to stop. So that's consistent characterization for him, in my opinion. I don't know.
Well, right.
I think it's consistent. Yeah, I think to Ian's point, I think something that's I feel like it's definitely hitting even harder maybe in this show, because this show is definitely really fully all about, especially down to all the details we're getting with Sam's family and everything is just how, and with New Cap, which is just how empty all of these symbols are, how empty this what is it, the Repatriation Council, how empty all of this stuff is.
Can we call him New Coke?
Yeah. Oh my god.
New Coke. It's not as good as the original. It's disgusting.
Right. Yeah. He's the Golden Palace of Captain America. Yeah.
What I mean is, I think he was more this is less villain, more oop, look, you were wrong about he's just kind of I don't know. It feels like he's being shitty and right. And I felt like yes, he had a point, but I felt like he was very like villain. I don't know. I didn't like him as
giving
much as
every actor more to work with 100% in this show. And the person who had the most victimization in terms of not ever getting enough to work with, but still being in the movie technically, is Bucky himself. Because he hasn't gotten to have a personality since like 1945.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy for him that we get to see the little bits of humor and the little bits of like pain outside of like just it's not so much as an ow, but it's a I want to heal but I don't know how. Like it's really getting all the notes for me in terms of like getting to see Sebastian Stan really be a person and not just a weapon or a victim.
Well, he's like resisting change. He's not like Steve. He's not jumping into the new music. He's not taking Sam's music like
no one's ever going to be able to say that Steve jumped into change to me again after he went back in time, but nice try.
Very true. I mean, this is where we get into the fact that Steve's ending did not agree or go with the story that had been built with him. This is really what that is, because very much so, his entire story is about change. And then it was like, well, that was great. I'm going to go back to that thing I did a century ago. Like, okay.
It agreed with Chris Evans being finished with these movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
The writing was still a big mistake. They should have had it be that he was stuck in time and couldn't come back. That's the only thing that would have made sense for his character, because this made no sense.
You did all this fighting for your best friend. Now you have him. Like, everything's good now. You know,
he didn't even stay long enough to make sure Bucky was going to be okay.
Okay. Did you even ask if Bucky had a place to live first? Did you know, I mean, I know like he technically came back, so maybe like, you know, he could have said some of that, but it just didn't make sense. You did all this fighting, so much more of Steve's story is literally fighting for Bucky.
That's his entire narrative.
Well, not only that, but all that time he was with Peggy Carter in the past, was he not like, I wonder if her niece is okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was waiting till we got to Sharon's like part in the show to bring that up. So let's like, we're still going narrative order. We're still on the plane. We're getting the magic pour.
Okay, yeah.
I was a little like, wow, he did not check in on her. Okay,
at all.
So we get I mean, we don't even need to talk. I'm just gonna quickly mention we get our flag smasher, and it's like we see her. I thought it was going to be her mom. It's not. It's, I guess, like a motherly figure within
that was
the
interesting, because
movement.
Donya can also mean like mother in many other languages. I wasn't sure if that was her name or a title.
It was a drag mother. Yeah, it was very.
Yeah, because when she calls like Donya can be just like a sign of respect, like
exactly.
So I've mentioned this before, but my mom and I would watch and talk about Buffy so much when I was younger that my grandma Panchi would always be like Donya Buffy, because we talked about her so much and she was a hero. Which give me that show, right?
Awesome.
But so we get that the woman is on her last legs. You know, she goes to apologize to her. We later learn what that was. Like, she tried to save her, but she could not, because that doctor didn't care. But we cut to the boys entering Madripoor, and I love this. This is the shit I love. Where like, I also am gonna say I liked Falcon's suit. Like, I was like, ooh, he looks good.
God,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
I'm annoyed at his dialogue. The dialogue wasn't disrespectful of that outfit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Zemo was like, he was honestly, while we're on the subject of fashion, the way Zemo got out of prison, it was immediately like, I'm wearing every fur in this closet. Where are my Gucci shoes? He was okay. He was like fresh out the runway. He was like, I've been in those clothes that they gave me at the prison. He was very much on it when it came down to fashion. So much so that he had Sam on it too. And he was so taken aback when Sam said he was dressed like a pimp.
I love that he had that clap back, like only an American would think that. That just, that hit for me.
Straight up was like, no, y'all need some culture. That's what this is, okay?
Exactly.
It really was, though.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that bit too. And Zemo just like, I feel like he's not even trying to like read him, but it is like, right? It's like, ugh, Americans. Like,
like every time Americans talk, it's a self-drag.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm glad that everyone else liked the suit, because I was like, wait, I like this suit.
It was beautiful. You kidding me? I'm making one for my American Girl doll right now.
I want to talk about that drink they made him drink, because I would have drunk that.
Extra protein.
Anthony Mackie had some A+ acting, trying to be cool with drinking whatever that was. Yeah.
That thumbs up, I wanted to die. I was like, what are you doing? You definitely ain't no smiling tiger. They're like, who is this dude?
That right? I was like, that bartender definitely knows it's not him, right? Because the bartender was
but he's
even
also
like,
trying not to get shot, so he ain't gonna say nothing.
Right, the bartender's like, not my problem.
He's like, yeah, y'all figure this out.
Completely. Like it was. I think it was for me. It was the fake out. Like he was gonna drink and he just couldn't. It was like the first little like, no, okay, yeah, yep.
So we get our first glimpse of Sharon. I knew it was her because she's like putting up her hood in the bar. Yeah. And I was kind of like, oh, cool. Like I did think since Zemo was revealed last episode, I thought Sharon would be at the end, which I'm glad they didn't do because like we all knew she was going to be the show. It doesn't need to be, a reveal cliffhanger.
Right.
Yeah.
So Sam and Bucky, they kind of, now I can't remember. Is it that the people at the bar are mad that Zemo's there, or do they know that they're faking it?
So basically, the whole situation with the bar is that as you described it as a hive of scum and villainy, everyone is there on the take. Everyone is basically being controlled or being paid by the power broker, and anything is up for grabs if you have the right allegiance. So if anybody messes up or steps out of line, the whole bar will turn on you because they know that that's how you survive in this place. So it's not that they were mad that Zemo was there. He hadn't been there in a while, and they weren't sure of like, okay, he's not really of Madripoor. He's just here to get something. And if we can get it first, or if we can prove that we're, allegiance to the power broker, that's how we stay on top. So you're all showing that you're on the same side. If you all pull a gun on the same person, you're not getting shot. That's how that works. That's every gang environment I've ever seen in fictional things. I'm not in the gang.
But so they get to see Selby after Bucky goes into his Winter Soldier and he kicks the shit out of all those people, which I did think was a pretty good action scene. It was a good fight.
Yeah.
I also am always into a bar fight with like superheroes. I don't know why. That's always like, I'm a sucker for it. Anytime Jessica Jones got into a fight, I'd be like, yeah, kick these dudes' ass. But so we go to see Selby, who I kind of thought would end up being someone, but wasn't, right? I don't think that she has a comic analog either, right?
Did we get pronouns? Because I was like, is Selby non-binary? Because if so, I'm here for it.
Oh, that would have been cool.
They were careful to not use any pronouns when speaking about them, so we didn't know what gender they were, and then I was like, ooh, okay.
Right. Okay.
That was cool.
But then Selby dies once.
Yeah, see, like this, like now I'm like a little, because MCU, I love it dearly, but this is where, when they bring in more diverse characters, and then it's like, I hope you enjoyed this 20 seconds.
Because it's literally all it was. It was like 20 seconds.
Guess where we're going to see Selby? Black Widow.
Okay. Exactly.
Selby's going to be the Madripoor contact in Black Widow.
Well, it's like in the first episode when Adam and I were talking about how we thought Torres was dead when the Flag Smasher, Mortal Kombat smashes him.
Yeah.
And
Adam was like, and now we're back down to 0 Latinx characters.
Yeah. I was like, we're done there. Okay. But he survived. He survived, like, they whipped him around like Hulk whipped Loki around on that thing. I don't know how he survived that.
With a broken orbital. Poor baby.
but even then, he's just like, he's on the phone upright in the next scene being like, well, okay.
Army strong.
There we go. I was like, there's that toxic masculinity he does not want to see. He doesn't want anybody seeing him.
So Sam gets a phone call from his sister. He doesn't have his phone on silent.
Fucking idiot.
Full straight guy. I was like, I haven't had sounds on my phone in 7 years. I've never.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like who has their ringtone? Who does it anymore?
Why would you even bring your real phone on a freaking covert op anyway?
That's what I'm wondering. That's my whole thought process the whole time was, why do you have your actual phone with you, sir? What's happening here?
A whole fool.
And why is it on? Like, the people who are important to you, who you need in this moment, are with you. So what could anyone call you or text you about in this moment that you would need to know about immediately? You couldn't turn it off.
And listen, and in the before times, before COVID, like, I would go down the line if I went with friends. I'd be like, is it completely off, that phone? Like, I would not have allowed him to walk into Madripoor. We would not have even gone. We would not have gotten into the car.
Wait, how does he have service in Madripoor? Hold on. He got the international national plan? Like, oh, okay. Why are you paying for this? This is a lot. You gotta be kidding me.
I appreciate that he almost gets away with it, like almost,
so close.
Until his sister actually says Sam. But then Sharon shoots Selby, and then they quickly dispose of these guards. And then they're running away. Sam has the very good line of, I can't run in these heels.
That was hilarious. Oh, God.
Then we meet up with Sharon, right? She's the one that saved them. She brings them to her place. I wanted to know what you all thought of this. She was like a big deal in Madripoor. I mean, she had this like beautiful place. She was throwing a party.
All right. I'm going to speak up for the Agent 13 Hive. We deserve this. I feel like people who say, oh, I wasn't really into her character, you don't understand that this character is Captain America lore. She deserves to be in this show 100%. And I think it's a hilarious, if predictable way to sidestep the whole, well, are they ever going to address her and Steve Rogers? Because if Steve had stayed in this timeline, they would have been a thing. That is guaranteed. That would have been her storyline. She'd still be Agent 13. She'd still be with Steve. That would have been a done deal. The best way to sidestep the whole, does she have any kind of like hangups about that, is to ruin her entire life so that she doesn't care about Steve fucking Rogers anymore. Because if your roof is leaking and then the house burns down, you ain't bitching about the leaking roof no more. So we just avoided the whole continuity issue of her and Steve having a thing and then him going back in time to be with her on, because she has nothing. She is an expat. She is a person without a country. And she's out here in Madripoor trying to build a life by basically being a criminal enterprise herself. And like, Bucky's response of like, oh wow, she's kind of terrible now. I'm like, Bucky, you know what it's like to have nothing, okay? Like the country kind of betrayed her, because if she hadn't stolen the shield and the jetpack, we would not be here right now. Like she should be thanked. It is like, is Sharon the honorary black woman of the show? Like what? She got nothing. Like what the hell? I was so mad.
Well, and it was like, and then like it kind of went into this like kind of, if you think about it, character assassination of Steve, because it's just like, well, the implications of that are that
was a character suicide of Steve. He did this to his damn self. Next question.
Okay, then he sucks as well. Then this is backing up the theme of don't idolize a single person.
Exactly. That underlines the entire point.
Yeah, which there you go. So now she's this like Mr. Big of stolen art, and
Ashley, what did you think of this version of Sharon?
My mind is, I don't want to skip ahead because my mind is on more so her taking on damn near everybody, while Sam and Bucky were trying to get answers, which just was absolutely phenomenal. But just in going back to the whole, I mean, I think it really just shows the two sides of this, you know, because it's like, as we're talking about, because the whole point of the Flag Smashers is really this whole, everything was great wasn't all that bad during the blip. It was actually working out for a few of us. And, you know, when we just look back to now people are back and, you know, how people's situations have turned, you know, it is just interesting, you know, like we see someone like Bucky who he's been pardoned, he's been forgiven, and we know that he's still reckoning with himself and all that he did before. But he's been given very much a scapegoat. And on top of that, you know, between his relationship with Sam, as well as, you know, all the people who know him through Steve, and even if it's just because of their relationship with Steve, will look out for him. You know, even through all the red on his ledger, as Black Widow used to call it, you know, he'll still be okay. And then we have Sharon, who post blip, nothing's improving for her. Nothing's really, you know, I mean, she's made a way for herself, thankfully, in this place where she's been basically able to seek refuge. And don't get me wrong, I do think, you know, we know that there's probably a little bit more to the story, as we saw when she left and she said, she made a comment about a whole lot of red flags or something like that. But it's just really interesting, especially with someone in more so a main that we're familiar with, to see how they've been affected post-blip. Just because I feel like it's easy for the MCU to depict the Flag Smashers as the villains, even though, you know, a whole other conversation I would love to have is the fact that, like, these are marginalized people who are fighting for resources. And, you know, we had Carly, who blew up that building. I felt like it was a little out of character for her, because it was these are just people who are, it wasn't like she wasn't some raged, you know, these are people who they went and got powers to protect themselves. These are people who, you know, they were targeted, but they're just fighting for access. And of course they had to do something really wild to make us hate them, like blowing up, you know, innocent people, which just did not make sense, because literally what they've been doing is getting resources for innocent people. But just to see now another side of that whole dynamic in terms of Sharon, who's, you know, she's not in the exact situation as the Flag Smashers, but just like, I imagine less people being around would probably work in her favor, since people being back isn't exact. If Sam pulls through, and I'm sure he will, it'll work for her. But like that in itself, it's like, they were on the run. They ended up in Madripoor and running into her. If those chances had it been taken, she'd just be stuck in the middle of somewhere, enemy number one, because she helped out Captain America, while Captain America's best friend, whose kill list is way bigger than that notebook, he's safe. So it's really. I both love the dynamic of it, but I will say, just in terms of a bit of criticism, I didn't like her really kind of ragging. Oh, you were Mr. America. She kind of called him Captain America's bitch, if we're going to be honest.
But where did she lie, though?
She did not lie. She said several truths. Right? Even though she was very honest. But it just, they do this thing of like getting a little out of character to try and enforce our mentality a certain way. And I think there's a way to still, although, you know what, to be fair though, I guess if I had to, I don't want to say radicalize, but if everyone basically turned their back on me and they're all living happily ever after, and I'm over here, I guess I'd be a little less happy-go-lucky too. So I guess it's fair.
Man, we are like on the same page with a lot of this stuff, but an in-character explanation for why Carly, because like obviously outside of the show, yeah, it's very typical to make the sympathetic villain do a terrible thing so we don't like him anymore. But in universe, there is no such thing as an Erskine derivative super soldier serum that has no side effects. Mm-hmm. And the side effect of the one that he gave, that the knockoff dude gave everybody else, is mental instability. So it's going to come out that even though the people in the movie or in the show don't have the same big bulky bodies as Steve, and they don't age as fast as Isaiah, and they don't have cellular degradation, they're not going to have the same mentality that they had before they got the serum. So that's why she did that. And the other issue I had was, Sharon being horribly mistreated by the government and being like, basically public enemy number one, and Bucky gets away with everything. Bucky has provable lack of cognitive ability and control for all of the crimes he committed. He's been a POW this entire time, and it is well documented. So there would be no way to legally prosecute him unless you invoke the Patriot Act if you were to go that route. Whereas Sharon was completely in control of herself when she very publicly stole from the government and gave stuff to technically criminals at the time. So she would need a real good attorney to really be able to overcome that. And I still think it's unfair, but like I can see how this would happen, and it does make sense. And Sharon being super bitter about all of this is entirely valid, and I'm dying to see where they go with the whole yes, she's got some people, some allies, and she's doing something in Madripoor, and like she's got some next steps she's going to take that we don't get to see because we're following the Hardy Boys on their next mission.
But Julian, what did you think of this version of Sharon?
I loved every second that she was on the screen. I was sitting upright, leaning forward. I was dying over it because it is they did so many great things. Because her first, her only two appearances, we saw like she was so much about Steve, and she was so much about her job and S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything else. Like that was her character, and I respect her because she still had a little bit of personality, but that was so much her. And then the job fucked her, and so then she decided this. Okay, so I gave all this to the job, and the job just said, okay, well, you did this. We don't care. He's America's hero. You still, broke XYZ law. We're done with you. And then she just decided, okay, well, I'm going to look out for me. I'm going to keep it real now. Since you're going to keep it real with me and this is how you feel about me, this is how I feel about that. I love when she ripped Bucky and Sam a new one about, their characters and who they are, because it just feels so true to when you've been betrayed on that many levels, when you've just been left hanging to dry and having to fend for yourself and essentially build, a whole new life. She can't talk to her family. Her dad doesn't even know if she's alive and things like that.
Yeah.
You just kind of go into this mode where you're allowed to just say, well, fuck y'all. This is what I'm going to do. And that's that's the route that you want to continue to follow, and bless you. Good luck on that path. But it did me wrong, and I'm going to let you know about it. And I appreciate that so much about her character, while she was still very much, but I guess I'll help y'all because, at the end of the day, it might help me too, kind of thing. And I love the line that when her and Sam were going back and forth about how he was like, help us, I'll get you a part. And she was like, okay, so now we're bargaining with my life. And that to me hit so hard because, it's essentially what you're saying is my livelihood depends on me once again putting my ass out on the line to help you accomplish something. And so I loved it. fully support Agent 13 and Sharon on her mission to go ahead and reclaim her life by any means necessary.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh. If I was her, I would have been like, okay, you should be offering to get me pardoned, even if I just sat here doing nothing for you.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Multiple times. No repayment.
Yeah, exactly right.
And be like, you are already in debt.
Yeah. No, Zach, I think that's really where I'm at. It's like, the minute y'all saw she was seeking refuge anywhere outside of home and she tells you she can't reach out to home, it should have been immediate, hey, if you can help us, that'd be great. But if we get out of this situation alive, the minute
I'm going to help you because I ain't thought about you for these 5 years, so I'm going to help you out.
That's wild.
Yo, wait, they were dusted though. They were dusted.
I get it.
Them particles was probably still not thinking about Sharon when they was floating in the air. It's fine.
They were not. They weren't.
Although this definitely did have the vibe of like when my friend like if you have a friend who like really fucks someone over and then that friend is out of the picture and then you're supposed to hang and like you're kind of hanging out with a friend who got fucked over by your good friend and you have to kind of like explain for them. It was a little bit of just like, oh, okay, no, I know Steve kind of left you hanging here while we were all dusted and kind of nobody looked out for you. And he's gone, but I need you to help me.
This is really again where Steve's story is just his ending is just so messy because it's like even beyond the whole you fought for your friend for 6, 7, for all these years. And then the minute you guys can finally, get back to being besties, you're on the, you're going back in time. But between that, and then it's like, there are still so many loose ends. There's so many people who have been doing things for you. I understand you were a little distracted the past few years because Thanos, but now that situation's been resolved. The way, they did not allow him to just tie those loose ends, not even just with Bucky, but, between this Sharon situation and just this honestly, a whole group of people who stuck their neck out for you, like everything going back to normal doesn't mean normal for them necessarily. And he was like, yeah, I'm taking the stones back. And that was it. And that was the end of it. And this is, I think, we're also seeing, the consequences of that. Like you got what you wanted. Your friend is safe and it was fuck everybody else. Which is just so out of character for Steve. I'm not saying that to insult him because I'm a huge Steve Rogers fan, but it just shows how out of character for him it is that, it just really makes him an asshole, but he would never do that until so it really all just really comes back to, I understand like they needed a way to end the story, but like, and I don't want Steve to have been, just die in the events of Endgame like Tony Stark did, but it's just like, at least then it would have been like, he would have made things better, but he's not here anymore. It was like...
Right.
With his excuse away his mess.
If they were determined to show that this was a choice that Steve made, the same way they show people like tying up their loose ends and like fixing up their things before they commit suicide, he should have been like, I'm going to make sure that every single person that I ever helped in this like part of my life is okay before I leave. And he would have gotten that pardon for Sharon. He would have made sure that Sam and Bucky and everyone else were going to be okay and told them, I feel like I really want to do this. And maybe privately, not publicly, but like just say that I want to try to make things work with Peggy, and I can now.
Yeah, I mean, Bucky picked up on that he wanted it in that scene and stuff like that. So it's like, it's just, I don't know how they could have done it in Endgame and stuff, but like there had to have been a better way.
They may not even have to have done it in Endgame. They could have easily have introduced it through this series with Sharon coming back into the picture and her saying, he visited me too, and this is what he said kind of thing. But they didn't. They left my girl hanging.
They were like, thanks, Chris Evans, for everything you did. 10 years. Wow, it was great. And then
I'm not going to blame the actor entirely because the writers could have figured out a better way to put this.
Absolutely not. It's absolutely no. I understand. I love everything about Chris Evans to a point that it might mean he should take out a restraining order on me. But... to say that they were just so focused on, doing what they needed to do to make sure that his story ended. They didn't think about how his story is so entangled with everyone else's and what the after effects of that would be. And we're really seeing it. But they definitely could have done, even if fast forward to a Falcon and Winter Soldier, if we had found out that like, even with the book, with the Notebook, if we, like these little things of maybe we find out in this show that even though Steve left the shield to Sam, he left everything else to Bucky. And that's how Bucky came across the Notebook. And then, maybe us also finding out that he did tie those loose ends of, I need Sharon to be pardoned. I need this, I need that. And then once everything had been tied up, maybe we didn't get to see those events on screen, but in this show, we find out, Steve did what he needed to do before deciding to go back and live the life that he wanted, even though he gave no hints to anyone in the series. But
even though Peggy told him to move on with his life, literally.
Okay, I'm just saying. I have to reiterate that. And not only that, but Peggy got her own show where she had a whole new love life as well. So it's just none of it makes sense for either person, but you did what you did and we have to deal with it.
I'm never going to not be mad about that. I'm sorry. Peggy had a canonical whole-ass black husband and some mixed babies in the comic book. But nah, we got to have her out here in a version of New York with no black folks and the version of California where ain't no Asian, Latino, nothing. Oh, come on. Sorry. Agent Carter and me, we dead. That shit was a mess.
So wait, I got to keep us moving, but I got to mention that. So for our promos, I always quickly look at everyone's Instagram to pull a photo to use to promo for the recording. And Ashley, the jealousy that was going through me when I saw that you had a picture with Chris Evans and you're touching his beard.
My claim to fame. Yeah. No, that was definitely, I know technically getting degrees and really great jobs should be in the top of my success list, but when I look back on this thing called life, I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna probably be the first thing. I remember going in, it was Ace Comic-Con before the world became what I'm talking, we're living in post-blip or something, but before before COVID, it was the last Comic-Con in 2019. It was June. I remember it was a week after his birthday because I told him happy belated birthday too. And I remember I took 2 pictures with him. One was I was dressed as Shuri. That's my go-to cosplay. And then my second one, I was like, oh my God, this one has to be memorable. The first time I just hugged him. I was like, that's really basic. Are you a basic bitch, Ashley? No. So what are you going to do? And so I went and I was like, can I touch your beard? And it was the Infinity, I have a thing for the Infinity War beard. A lot of that.
Yeah, because you're not blind.
That beard was moisturized by the gods. My goodness, I don't know what. That's not just coconut oil. I don't know what he did, but that was, just blessed. And
if you take the coconut oil pills and you rub it in, it's moisturized on both ends.
Oh,
that's how you
see, skincare facts. Didn't even know. But yeah, I went in for it, and that is yeah, that would definitely be my holy grail moment. Yep.
So I didn't post it recently, but I have a picture of me in my Falcon costume flying with Anthony Mackie with his arms extended underneath my wings, and it's pretty dope. So I'll use that for promo.
Okay. So I saw that. I was like, I need to ask Ashley about this because she touched my husband's beard, and I'm so jealous.
Can I tell you? I posted that for National Boyfriend Day last year. Acting like he was my boyfriend. Well, I'm not acting. He absolutely is. Right, and then, so he played along with it, and he was So I don't know. You guys follow Yvette. She had a cameo in Endgame. She was the one in the elevator. And when and so she, they do a thing where that's their Twitter boyfriend and girlfriend, and she quote tweeted me and was like, Chris, can you explain this? And then he replied back and was like, I can explain. And so that was that's my moment. That is, if he doesn't do anything else, I am okay with that. It's just that is the story of Ashley Smalls and Chris Evans.
It's a good story, honestly. I would be okay with that being my only story as well. But okay, so moving on. So then they go to find this Dr. Nagel. The one thing I will say about this is that everyone, while it was slow before and it's fast, it's almost a little too fast because I was not even clear. I was like, wait, what are we doing? They're going to see this doctor, and I wasn't quite sure how that even they got there. And I know that they explained it, but it was oh, things are happening really fast, but I prefer that over slow. So sure. Mm-hmm. They go to see this doctor. The doctor brings us back to Carly and the dying woman. We learn that she had called the doctor, but he says something like, not my pig, not my farm. He truly doesn't care. There it's Zemo and Bucky and Sam, and I think one of you mentioned that Sharon gets a really cool. She's kicking everyone's ass in this scene.
She is just laying bodies out everywhere.
Yeah, and I love to see it. It reminded me. I don't know if any of you watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes,
it reminded me a lot of Agent May and Bobby's fights that they would have, and I loved. I know that show could be hit or miss for some people, but I loved when they had these two women as the heavy hitters, and
These
they were
two
always
women
like,
of color as the heavy hitter. Oh, you said Bobby. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Daisy.
Right. I was going to say, not Bobby.
Wrong one, sorry.
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, for me, that was like really cool. And I liked that, like, and you're right, consistently it was women who were the stronger fighters on that show, because it was May and Bobby, and then it was May and Daisy, and like they got to have the very kick-ass fight scenes.
Yeah.
And I like a show that's like, you know, they're willing to be like, yeah, Sharon's cool, she can be on guard and beat up all these dudes while we like investigate the thing. I like that. I was wondering if, because now it feels like Sharon in the MCU is going to be very different. I mean, she was going to be very different regardless after Endgame, but I just thought they would never bring her back.
Oh, no.
But like, I wonder, I feel like they could almost do anything with her at this point in the MCU.
Yeah.
Because of like, she's not attached to Steve. S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't really a thing anymore. So I kind of am wondering, like when she had the batons, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to like maybe give her a different character moniker and make her like she'll be one of the team eventually or something
I hope
like
not.
that.
I really want them to continue her as her own character and continue the growth that she's had.
Yeah.
I don't want them to make a new Mockingbird. I'd rather have a Mockingbird that is like Bobby and not make her into it. It's kind of like how people kept saying that they were like, oh, Shuri's going to be Ironheart. I'm like, no, we can have two separate legacies.
No.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
God.
It also just did not make sense.
It really did not. I was like, oh, we can't have two smart black girls? Please get it together. We have three, actually. Don't forget Moon Girl. Like, come on now.
But I like the fact that she got the big fight scene here, and it wasn't really Bucky or Sam, like our two main characters. It was like this woman that we hadn't seen in, you know, however many years from a movie, and I liked her getting the big fight scene.
She soloed every mercenary in Madripoor when she had the ability to summon backup, and she chose not to maintain her cover as just doing her best. Never mind, she has a whole enterprise of employees and shit. I love it.
Right.
Love it.
And, you know, so they're investigating this doctor. He kind of gives them an info dump, but like it didn't really matter. I didn't really advance much of the plot, I don't think.
I think so.
Okay. Jay has a counterpoint to everything.
I'm sorry. Not. But so basically, he admitted that he had changed the original formula. It wasn't the same as Erskine's. He added stuff to make it less visible, but it also is less effective because if you recall, Steve had multiple chronic, incurable illnesses and the serum took care of everything, but the serum, which Carly has, was not enough to heal tuberculosis. Do you remember what Steve had on his list of reasons why he couldn't? So the original formula could have cured her.
Okay.
So this is them canonically saying it's not the same, it's not as good.
Right. Okay.
There will be consequences. So that to me, that was the plot point we were meant to get out of this.
So Sharon kind of is like, okay, there are too many mercenaries. I gotta go in there and tell them we gotta go. Time's up. Because even though she's putting up a good fight, there's still like a lot of them.
Yeah.
She goes in. This was a little bit, I was like, what are we doing? So Zemo shoots Dr. Nagel, but they don't have time to pause on the like, what the fuck are you doing? Because someone blows up the lab. Everyone's fine. It was a huge explosion. Everyone's fine. It did feel very action movie, like you said, Adam, like kind of like late 90s. But like, I'm fine with that. Sure, blow it up and they're all cool.
It's fine. But like, I mean, listen, I'm on board with it. I think it took those first few episodes to kind of switch those gears in my head because I have no comics frame of reference. I am only watching the movies and shows. So I was like, wait a minute, okay. I was like so deep into WandaVision. It took me a while to be like, wait, yes, we're genre jumping a bit. So like there is a kind of a heightened bunch of everything else. And it was good. It definitely like, I mean, like it's one of those things where like in my action kind of movies, I don't super prefer this like super fast pace, especially since they have set the metronome rhythm as slower in the first two. So it was a little more unprepared. I think kind of Julian, you were kind of maybe vibing on that same thing where it was going a little fast through beats, but still, I think we got to get through story. But yeah, it was feeling a little like video game cutscenes. It was feeling very like, we got to go here. We got to go here. I need you to, before I help you, you got to help me with my, it was a little how Mandalorian episodes are.
I love it.
I will help you, but first you must come help me with my cousin who needs a thing. They need to, it was like, yeah, like, I'm doing Zelda again right now, and it's very just like, yes, I will help you, but first you need to bake my favorite cake using the following 4 ingredients that you will find in different parts of the map. Yeah.
Wow.
The guys are immediately bickering. Zemo runs off. Sharon, I like that Sharon even like calls it. She's like, are you doing this now? Because we're being shot at. and they're like wasting time bickering because what is it? One of them is like, on my left, and the other one goes the other way, and
oh my god,
they're just like
they're doing that married squabbling. Yeah,
I get I like the bickering, but sometimes it's a little bit much. Where I'm like, all right, come on.
I want to see the outtakes where it's worse because this is the best take.
Bucky yells like, you liked living here to Sharon, which it's like, no dude, she kind of was forced to go there, but also she's not doing so bad. She's got that nice mansion, she threw a party last night that you all attended, you saw it was well received,
which gave us a wonderful new meme in the making of Zemo dances to fill in the blank.
Which I gotta remember to use that to Agatha all along. I gotta make a video.
You're not done with her yet.
Not yet. So they like do their action-y thing. We see that Zemo has put it back on his purple mask. And I really thought this is like, oh, Zemo's gonna leave. And this is him like double crossing them. But no, he like kills a bunch of dudes, gets his car, and is like, all right, guys, come on, let's go.
I mean, this is also, I was talking about earlier about like the nuance in some of their villains is because like, even though, he did basically save them, we saw during the questioning, like he killed the doctor.
Right.
And that's not what he was supposed to do at all. That still speaks true to who we saw in Civil War and that he doesn't want any more of these soldiers. That's his main, even, outside of course, wanting to get out of prison is like, I don't want them things running around here any more than you do. So let's go. And I think, but we still see how he's able, because even before he shoots the doctor and we see him sort of creeping around the lab, and I was pretty sure, I was like, oh, he's about to take some stuff he's not supposed to have. This is going to be it. It's over. He played the game for 20 minutes. Now he's about to set it off. And I still think, but I think the fact that we all share this mentality of like, oh, he's about to flip. We see it's in him to do so. And it's not that he won't eventually, whether it's in this show, maybe something future, but that like he still has some sort of a motive here. And it could even just be that he wants them to trust him to at least a further extent than they currently are right now, for whatever his reasons may be. But like, that don't mean the Zemo we've seen is not in there. He needs to be lovable in a sense, not just by us and sharing fist pumping videos and we're going to, put it into our favorite songs, but also an extent of he can't be so annoying to the both of them that they drop him at a dime. But even like the little snark remark he made on the jet when he says, if there's anything in there that smells, give it to them. He said it in Sokovian. And it's like, this man can't be trusted. We understand it, but we're still going to enjoy the fist pumping videos, of course. But it's like, something's about to flip.
I mean, it's not quite there, but it's a little bit like Agatha, where it's like, oh, she's fucking everything up for Wanda, but like, she's so enjoyable to watch. I don't mind.
Like, yeah, right.
Also, Wanda was kind of a mess before Agatha even showed up, so it's not like she really caused all of it. And again, the issues that Sam and Bucky are facing were going to happen regardless of Zemo. Zemo's helping them move things along. He going to be a dick along the ride, but we getting further than we was going to get without his little Rolls Royce.
True, because we see John Walker and them can't make heads or tails and nothing going on. So it's like, we know without him, we would not be here. So it's like, you were needed. You're filling your part. We can't be mad now anyways.
Yeah.
I was loving that, like, he had, like, so, like, was I not following it correctly? Because I was like, oh, he put his mask on, he's about to do something, and then he did something, and then he immediately took it back off again. I was like, wait, is the mask on or off?
He's a theater kid.
Yeah, okay.
He had to get into character.
Right. He was just like, okay, yeah, just for this moment, and then immediately flipped it back off again. So it was like,
this is my killing mask. I put it on when I'm killing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we
go. But so that brings us to, like, so that scene ends. I thought it was very weird that Sharon left. It felt abrupt, because I kind of thought, like, oh, cool, now it's going to be the four of them doing hijinks for the rest of the show. But Sharon is like, nope, gotta go. And we do see her say to, like, this woman who is her driver that, like, they have, like, a bigger problem.
That's an assumption. I think she is serving as a driver right now, but she's probably more than that.
Right. It's just literally the person who's driving her car in this moment. And I kind of liked the mystery there. I still wish Sharon would have been with them for the rest of the show. I know she'll pop up again, but I kind of would have liked the four of them, because I do feel like the thing the show has been missing is a more, like, there's been a lot of characters like Sam's sister, who was really interesting, but then we didn't see her. You know what I mean? Then it was like her role got smaller and smaller. And then in this episode, she was just a phone call. I think that's like one of the things the show is missing, is more of like a stronger, like, group going through this, because characters don't really stick around. But so then we get to Carly, we get her scene, we get like her blowing up the building. We already talked about that. But then we cut to John Walker, Cap, and Battlestar. And I was so annoyed that he was right, because he's like, oh, they broke out Zemo, and Battlestar's like, they wouldn't do that. And I'm like, damn it, I hate that this stupid man is right.
Well, Sam wouldn't do it.
Right. Sam didn't do it. It was just Bucky. So they're back, and we learn that they're talking about destroying the shield. And I kept thinking of that Drag Race meme of Adam. Is it Michelle Visage who's like, it's a piece of fabric?
Yeah, it's
like,
Michelle
Visage. Like, it's a piece of vibranium. Everyone relax. Like, I get that the shield is a symbol, but I kept thinking of it in the same way that like people think of like the American flag, and it's like, all right, relax. It is a shield. Like, I don't know.
Well, there's two facets here. It's the shield, but between those two men in that room, it is the mantle, it is the trust of Steve Rogers, it is the friendship, it is the love, it is the compassion that they had for each other, and the thing that ties them together. And if you're Polly, these are two metamors mourning their hinge and talking about what legacy that he's going to leave them. Do you understand? Like, it's not just a shield to these two dudes. Come on now, get it together.
That makes me very sad.
So it's more than a shield, especially to them, but to like everybody else, I get it. And I'm not even especially patriotic. Man, we should have stayed in Jamaica. We should never come here. But my point is that I completely got that conversation. I think it needed to be had. And having Bucky express that desire to say, you know what, we're not going to let this asshole have it. If you won't take it, I will. Even though we know he's never going to be Cap in the MCU, in my opinion. But it's important for him to express that desire to have someone carry the flag for Steve if Steve can't be here. And if Sam won't do it, Bucky sure as hell will. That was the best shout out to like Bucky Cap that I, as a Bucky Cap fan, could have gotten. I love that.
I also think, I mean, I'm reading between the lines with Bucky, because I think Bucky is a beautiful, petty Scorpio who is like saying all this nice high talk of like, oh, we can't, the mantle of I think he just doesn't like that guy, and he wants to mess him up and take away his pretty little costume. And I just think he wants to mess that guy up. Yeah, I think that's what he's doing.
But I think, it like also I was saying earlier about the stock that John Walker puts into that shield and the whole moniker behind Captain America. Mm-hmm. We're not simply seeing someone who, it'll be one thing, like they got this person who, he's just doing his best. It's like, we know he's not Captain America, but he genuinely wants to help. But then there's this person, there's John Walker, who like kind of feels like it comes with it the minute you put it on. Hence the, don't you know who I am? It's no, I don't know who you are, but you did. Like, it's like, and we don't know you from nowhere. And I think that's another annoying, we're seeing the stock that honestly everyone puts into it in its different ways with the characters. We see from episode 1, Sam put stock into the shield, and in a way, I guess you could say he thinks it's supposed to stay with Steve, hence him giving it back. Yeah. And then we see the stock that Bucky puts into it, and that it kind of symbolizes, Steve's trust that Bucky, you can be who I know you are to be. And I know that Sam can be, the best person to carry out what I would do. And so, Sam giving it back to him, it disagrees with his whole mentality behind that shield. And then we have John Walker, who kind of feels like, I got the shield now, so that means everyone's supposed to like me. And it's so, yes. I think what we're seeing here is different beliefs and values behind that shield. And so, but regardless of how different Sam and Bucky feel about it, what we definitely know is we definitely don't agree with this guy right here who has it. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of just like, it's like, yeah, it's just a shield. But I think, unfortunately, it represents so much that getting it isn't really about, yes, I got this vibranium. It's more so like, see, Steve, I got it. I'm as good as you think I am. Or, I'm going to be the best Captain America I can be. Or better yet, I'm going to leave this with Steve so that when people think Captain America, they're only thinking of him and not me. I'm just Falcon. That's all I want to be. But regardless, it's like, I know one thing's for sure. Whatever stock you're putting it in, it can't be with this guy. So we gotta, I'm very much, I always refer to myself as the Bucky in my friendships. Like, I'm very much, let's take it. We'll figure out what we're going to do with it later. If we want to wrestle for it, thumb wrestle. We want to, rock, paper, scissors, whatever. But I just know he cannot have it. We cannot let this be. The name is Battlestar. Can we just, because I know from the comics, but still, it was just like, when Bucky got out of the car, when he said his name, I was like, I feel you, Buck. I really, really, really do.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Julian, what did you think?
I very much feel like, yes, the shield represents a lot to other people. But I feel like with John, the Shield is very much like, he feels so much like we're back in high school and he's the second string quarterback or he's the understudy in the play or something. Like, he treats it as if, oh yes, now like the star quarterback got hurt, or the the lead in the play finally got hurt, and now I get to have the star role. And it's so much about just him being in this role, this spotlight that he never got to have, that I can't get behind it. While for me with Sam, it's like I get that you don't. Like, you want to hold on to the Shield and you want to, because it means so much, this friendship you have with this person, but you don't want to be the one to carry the mantle, because Cap was already on this pedestal where he had to be like this ideal, language, don't swear kind of person.
Yeah.
And that's not who Sam wants to be. Sam doesn't want to have to step up on that pedestal. Yeah. I get that. Like, who wants to take on that mantle, especially as a Black person in this country? It's not something I would want to do either, where it's already, I have to be perfect and you already see me for all these flaws just as who I am. I wouldn't want to step into it. So I get him wanting to, no, this is Steve's. Let him have that kind of thing. But it's just it's interesting what this one piece of vibranium means to so many different people and the way it positively or negatively affects each of them. It's so fascinating to me what a symbol can actually mean and do to other people.
That's so great, because it's like, I think with John Walker, like you said, like it does make me think about this kind of guy who is overcompensating. It makes me think, like, I keep thinking of the scene from Spider-Man Homecoming when Tony Stark is talking to Peter Parker, basically saying, like, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve this.
Yeah. I mean, Steve dropped that shield immediately when Tony told, when the whole fight went down. He was like, if you take that shield, and when it came down to choosing between who he felt he truly was, and he, Tony saying, well, then that shield doesn't agree with you. He dropped it without a second thought and walked off with his friend. And, but that scene wasn't just reminiscent of, the very heartbreaking ship between Tony and Steve, but also it was reminiscent of Steve being more than that shield. And that is where John Walker loses us, because it's so very clear, without that shield, without people calling you Captain America, it's not even, I don't even want to just say that you're no one, even though I don't have very... Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like it's very, very clear that without it, you don't have, so it's just like, dude, like.
He a cop outside his jurisdiction. Go home.
Yeah, that's it. He is he playing dress up. Really, that's it. That is it. I mean, even with the fact that he needed a gun so quickly in his first, his first little mission that we saw anyways. It's like, and I know there was a whole debate about this on Twitter too. Like, Steve has definitely used the gun before, but it wasn't a staple of his, the way John Walker was very reliant on it. And I understand that, he's not a superpowered anything to our knowledge. He's taken on several superpowered beings, but it was just like, so between the fact that we know you couldn't even do so much as know where you needed to go, you had to stalk Falcon to do that. Now you need a gun in order to even defend, to do the bare minimum, and you still got your ass beat. And then mostly all we saw you do, Bucky caught the shield mid-fight and just gave it back to him, which I know probably ate at him because he wanted to take that thing and run. But it just shows it's not hitting. It's not hitting the way you think it is. So.
Honestly, I really do think that John Walker is a baseline human who's probably taking illegal steroids just to keep up, and it's going to come out that he is. And in a franchise built on someone who took drugs, if they make him look bad for that, I'm going to laugh because it's very hypocritical.
Yes.
We end on them. They're traveling to Latvia. Bucky and Sam and Zemo are about to go into this place to talk to a contact. And Bucky is distracted, and he's like, I'm going to go for a walk, which I feel like Sam would have been like, what the fuck? We're going for a contact. You can't go for a walk.
On top of the fact that people were just trying to kill us a few hours ago.
Right. But so Sam goes Bucky goes because one assumes that Bucky knows who is following him, right? That's the assumption I made. He knows, he doesn't want there to be a fight. And yeah, I don't know. I liked this beat. I liked that this was a surprise character that wasn't announced previously.
Wasn't in the poster. Yeah.
I love that they used Bucky's time in Wakanda to show, oh yeah, he knows what a Kamoyo beat looks like and he knows exactly who's waiting. That was really cool.
I like that. Julian, what did you think of this end beat?
I loved it. I loved just the whole time I was like, okay, all right, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? And then it's like her showing up meant a lot to me. It meant a lot that they played the Wakanda music in the background. It was just like this moment, I guess, I don't know, maybe part of me still, hurting over last year or whatnot, but it just brought me back to just this really great moment. And I'm excited to see what she's going to do. Hopefully for more than one episode. I don't know what her contract details or whatever, but I hope that they really just pursue this because it's like Zemo's been locked up for all this time, but we ain't forgot who we killed. There ain't none of that dead to us. We just been biding our time, and now you to let the tiger out the cage. Now we coming to hunt. So I'm really excited to see where that goes, and whether Bucky mentally realizes that, okay, yes, while I'm using this guy to get these things done, I still have to remember these people, they pretty much saved my life. They gave me back something, and I need to have that allegiance and whatnot. So the conflict there, I'm really interested in also.
Ashley, what'd you think?
I've been thinking about it, and I was just like, I mean, first off, we've had several calls to Wakanda throughout the series already. Bucky owning the White Wolf moniker when Falcon tries to joke about it. He's like, actually, my name was White Wolf. Get it straight. I like that name. I like that more than y'all call me Winter Soldier. First of all, I know who I am when I'm in Wakanda. And so, we've had that, and even in his therapy session, when she talks about his therapist is asking him a question about when he was happy and he had those years of calm in Wakanda. He did not stutter. He was very much about, and even going back to the scenes of him in Wakanda, and we saw him helping, little scenes of him helping out, and then his conversations with Shuri and things like that. But knowing when he has it, and I think even in the battle, even though he was happy to see Steve, it was very much about protecting Wakanda as Wakanda has protected him. And even when, we see the scene of the aliens trying to get through and things like that. And he makes a comment about how much he loves this place. So I say all that to say, we know Wakanda is very special to him. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, I'm interested in what route they're taking, but as much as it might be a go-to of an allegiance about, is he going to give Zemo to them and things like that, I'd be curious to know if maybe this was his plan to begin with. Do we know if Wakanda wanted Zemo to be imprisoned where he was? Did they have less of a say in it because of where he's from? I would imagine you kill the king of Wakanda, they probably don't want you in prison. They want you dead. So, and he relates to that in a sense of, Zemo has played a part in his grief as well. So I'd be interested to see what the true is. Is the plan really that they're making it up as they go along? Or did he, get Zemo out because it's I know Wakanda wants you and I'm going to use you for what I need? You don't think so? I mean,
if T'Challa wanted him dead, he'd have been dead right there on that damn mountaintop.
True.
But he had the entire ability to kill him right there. He wanted him to live with what he had done because that's harder. Quote, direct quote.
Well, so I guess we're at the end now. I'm going to get everyone's ratings. Ashley, what was your favorite scene?
I'm going to give it to Sharon. I'm going to give it to Sharon beating up the mercenaries. Honestly, just seeing her back, of course, was really great. I'm excited for what her story is going to be next. But definitely her basically single-handedly taking everyone out. I guess if anyone had forgotten what she is capable of, we definitely got our reminder. And so I'm really grateful that they gave her that moment and didn't just let her be simply part of the team, but someone who can hold her own, as I imagine we're about to see a lot more of.
Yeah. Julian?
I have a scene and a moment, but my scene it's Sharon related also, but it is definitely when she dragged Sam and Bucky for the things that they've constantly preached and believed in and whatnot, and saying the things that she said. That for me was just such a wonderful character development moment. They did it just in such a way that, her dragging them also showed that, listen, I've come to my own realization about, where I put my allegiance and where I put all of my energy. And if it doesn't return it to me, then I shouldn't, keep doing that. So I love that. And then there was this one moment when in the bar, when after Bucky had, just destroyed everybody, Sam puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "Are you okay?" And that for me, just I was so emotional after that, because it's like he's recognizing that someone is having to revisit the trauma that they've continuously been through in order to move along this mission that they're on, or move along, whatever they're trying to figure out. And it's like Sam recognizing, but you had to step back into something that you've been trying to get away from in order to do this, and just asking, "Are you okay?" It's like, it was such a huge thing for me. So those are my like 1.5 things.
Okay. Jay, what was your favorite scene?
Well, they've already been mentioned, so I had a third.
It's okay. We allow for samesies.
No. I think that it's important to show different perspectives and stuff, so it's cool. I really liked the bit of personality we got to see from Sebastian Stan as Bucky when he's telling Sam that he's already broken Zemo out of prison without saying that he's already done it. Because it's kind of like a Xanatos gambit where you're like, it's already happening, but I'm just going to tell you my plan anyway. And just their banter to me is my favorite thing about this whole series. And that scene was just, again, perfect use of timing, perfect use of like the length of the episode, and the fact that it was so smoothly filmed as we're watching this like carnage take place in the prison, and we're watching Zemo get out, and we're watching Sam look more and more confused and in complete disbelief that this has happened while he's in some strange location, and Bucky still ain't telling where the hell they're at. That was just so funny to me. And people are like, well, that cut out some stuff. We didn't see how Zemo told Bucky where to meet him at. And I'm like, y'all don't need to be doing all of this. Come on now. Like, Bucky knows how to use a computer. They have figured out GPS. He has found his way there. We're moving on now. We don't need everything to be spoon-fed to us, right?
True.
Yeah, so I just like it for like all that.
Adam, what was your favorite scene?
I honestly, like, it's a little moment. It's not as like emotional as the other ones, but I like Sam trying to drink that really freaky snake drink. I think that was when I was the most like, okay, I'm having a good time watching the show. So yeah.
That's totally fair, because my favorite scene, I put like everything in Madripoor, because I just liked it. Was like a good setting. I thought they did a good job of like giving it the look. We got people were saying how like the Princess Bar was a bar that Wolverine frequented, and I don't know. I like that shit. I also like a reference that doesn't matter. Like, okay, it's a reference to comics, but also it's fine if you don't get it. Like, that's the kind of Easter egg reference I really like. But definitely, I would say the like Sharon fight into the like post lab being blown up fight. I liked that like long scene. What would everyone like to see moving forward, Julian?
I would love to see more Sharon. I need them to explore more into what's happening with her and what her motives are. I love that. Gosh, I'd like to see. Can I say I'd like to see less of John Walker? Is that like I would just like to focus.
This is a safe space to say
Don't
that.
say we all.
Yeah,
like it's just it takes away so much from these two characters who are trying to like rebuild their lives, and they're on this journey to, I guess, another point in their life of self-discovery and whatnot. And I just feel like every time we cut to John Walker, it's just like, this man ain't going nowhere with his life. Why are we giving him all this attention? There's no growth happening here. It's not going to be any growth happening here. Yeah. I would like less of him. Is that possible?
That's very fair. Jay, what would you like moving forward?
I would like to see more about the Black experience in America that's not about poverty, because there's more to us than just that. It frustrated the hell out of me that the most we got on, like, what is Sam's life really like? Well, his sister is broke. Okay, and, like, so I want to really get into, like, his actual, like, day-to-day when he's not doing missions or like, trying to pay the rent.
Or being profiled by police officers.
That too. Lord Jesus. Right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of like Sam Wilson as a person. Like where does Sam live? Right. We don't even know the most basic. Like, wow.
Ashley, what would you like to see moving forward?
Well, on the comment of John Walker, I mean, we know that eventually Sam gets the shield back. If we could rush that, if we could hurry that on up. We know that John and Battlestar are about to do some off the book, as they refer to it, stuff, because they know Zemo is no longer in prison. I am hoping that comes to bite them in their ass, because if they're doing it off the book, that means they're not going to have the really big ass army that they usually come with. That honestly usually is, like all the first time we saw them in battle, they had a helicopter bring them in, they're not going to be able to use those smoke and mirrors. So I'm really interested to see. I mean, I'm more so interested because I think it's going to lead to them getting their asses beat, and I would like to see that. And then next to that, definitely, of course, Io and the role she's going to play here. I'm hoping it's not only for one episode, even though, of course, I don't want anything taken away from the main story. But, I would love to get more of the White Wolf's connection to Wakanda outside of what we got to see in the films. But, of course, really see, what is she there for? Is it simply to get him back in prison? Or is it something else? My mind is mostly on I need John Walker gone. I'll even barter with them. I'm willing to keep Battlestar if we can keep him somewhere, but just he gotta go. He's gotta go. That's my main thing.
Adam?
Listen, I think, all of this all seems completely great. I really want that therapist, but I thought that therapist was going to be in every episode, that kind of situation.
Me too.
So I want her back. I want, feel like shit, just want her back. That's the thing. I think we're going in that good direction. I really just want them to I like the energy we're bringing in this episode. I like the momentum. I'm nervous at how quickly they're blowing through story beats. So I'm hoping it doesn't continue to, because every one of these things is so interesting. This one episode contained 5 different interesting things. There could have been an entire episode. Yeah. So I'm a little nervous. I'm don't rush through this. Even with the Wakandan story, I hope we sit in that a bit and don't just have it be really quick and then we move on.
Can I actually make another comment?
Yep.
I also am hoping we get to go back to Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that was blown through so fast. I feel like that episode.
It was just it was a whirlwind.
That's 100% a must. Yeah.
Yes. And it on one hand it feels inevitable, but going back to even the comments that we just heard about how they're just going through things, I understand it's a short season, but and we've already had a callback from the doctor in this episode because they used he was able to remake a serum. He was able to make a serum off of how Bradley being tested. He was basically turned into a test subject. And bring in a bit of comic book knowledge, even though it's been talked about amongst the Marvel community about how his grandson is someone who goes on to have a story of his own. If you wanted to check it out,
yes.
But I'm definitely hoping that's not something we have to wait for. And I'm not saying we need to dive into his grandson's story, but definitely I hope we get to have a moment back to that. Both as we are also talking about, definitely things need to be made up for Sharon. That is definitely someone thing needs to be made up for too as well.
If Sam is not fighting for reparations for Isaiah Bradley, who is Sam even?
Exactly.
Right.
No, seriously. When he takes his behind over there to talk about Sharon, Isaiah Bradley's name better come up to deep, But yeah, I do hope. But even beyond just reparations, I want to hear more about his story, whether that's even maybe a flashback to that fight between Bucky and Isaiah, and then just a bit more deeper into what it was for him to be Captain America in any way. I think that's important to Falcon's story. We know he gave up the shield, but if he's going to be it in the future in any way or even think about it, how can you not go and talk to someone who was technically in those shoes? So I hope they don't just give us that glimpse and think that's all they need to do. So I'm hoping we go back to that.
Yeah. I kind of have the same thing Adam has, is that they were so fastly moving through the beats. Because in the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh, this is moving a little slow. And that was a complaint. But now I'm like, ooh, but a lot of these beats, I felt like we could have spent 2 episodes in Madripoor, or having Sharon just abruptly leave. I felt like a lot of that was ooh, we could have fleshed. There were so many interesting plot points in this episode that could have been fleshed out. I wouldn't, again, like you said, Adam, I don't want them to have the Wakanda wanting Zemo that not be a 10-minute beat in the next episode. And that's I hope that's we sit in it, we get the fleshed out story. But again, we only have 3 episodes left. So
I know. And I feel like they'll do the Wakanda stuff well, but I think Wakanda is a place that it's one of the few things that we haven't really gotten much insight into yet, as far as how they were affected by the blip. We didn't spend much time with Okoye during Endgame, and obviously we lost Chadwick Boseman last year. So I think definitely there's been a lot of how were they affected? What's happening right now over there? What is she here to do with Zemo? So I think that's so interesting that I'm just, the way they've been speeding through everything, I'm like, oh, guys, I hope you spend more than 15 minutes on it.
Yeah. And now we're going to grade the episode. Jay, what grade do you give the episode?
B.
Okay. Ashley?
B+.
Julian?
Yeah, I'm B plus.
Adam?
B plus over here.
I'm also a B plus. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for listening. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. If you want to follow us on social, we are on all platforms, including now TikTok, at SlayerFestX98. You can support us on Patreon, which helps keep the podcast going. We get access to 3 to 4 monthly Patreon exclusive episodes a month. And if you want to follow me on social, I am at ENXCarlos. Ashley, where can everyone find you?
I am Ashley K. Smalls on Twitter and Instagram, and you can also visit my blog, brooklynblurred.com.
And Jay, where can everyone find you?
I am at that Jay Justice, ThatJayJustice on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Discord, Twitch. I stream every Tuesdays, drawing some comic art, and my website is jjustice.net. Come and admire all my many accolades and video game credits.
Nice. Julian, where can everyone find you? And where can they buy your book?
Oh, yeah, my book. Do I have one of those? I guess. On Twitter, you can find me at JulianW_writes. On Instagram, you can find me at Winters Julian. You can go to my website, julianwinters.com. No www. And you can get my books on everywhere, I guess.
Get them everywhere. Get them.
Or my website has links to all the different places you can go, including my local independent bookstore if you want to get it from there.
Cool. And Adam, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at @TheAdamSass, on Instagram at @It'sAdamSass, or you can go to my website, adamsassbooks.com, to get information on my debut, Surrender Your Sons, which is available everywhere, and my upcoming work's coming in 2022.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.